On this 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, Seth Doane has a story about a veteran of World War II still grappling with the wounds of war.
This 94-year-old's journey from Pennsylvania all the way to a tiny grave in Cologne, Germany, is deeply personal.
I'm sorry, Katrina. I never forget you.
He never met Katharina Esser, yet always feared her death might be his fault.
What were you thinking when you were at her grave?
I asked her forgiveness if it was my shots that harmed her.
A shot that still haunts him more than 70 years after he fired it in World War II. At the time, Clarence Smoyer was a gunner with the U.S. Army's 3rd Armored Division. He'd come ashore in Normandy 3 weeks after D-Day, criss-crossed France, Belgium, and in March of 1945, the fight to capture the key city of Cologne lay ahead.
Our lieutenant got on the radio and he said, "Gentlemen, I give you Cologne. Let's knock the hell out of it."
Incredibly, Army photographer Jim Bates, who was documenting the Allied advance, filmed Clarence Smoyer's Pershing tank in a battle with a German Panzer, a fight that's now seared into Smoyer's mind.
I saw movement over on my left side, so I fired armor-piercing shells through the corner of the building, thinking maybe I'd get a lucky hit that I would knock the tank out. This little German car came around the corner and right down the street in front of us. And I think I may have hit the car. I might have been the one that hit the car and wounded Katharina.
Katharina Esser was a grocery store clerk.
A young girl was taken out and laying on the street there, still alive. But she was shot in the chest. I saw the medics were there and treated her and left her lying beside the car on the highway there. She didn't deserve to die that way. All the time I see her lying in the street.
We went to that street, now bustling, and to Smoyer, almost unrecognizable.
Was it the film that jogged your memory?
Yes, yeah.
He admits he's a little confused between what he recalls from that day versus what he later saw in that film, stored away for decades at the National Archives.
I could see her hair.
You remember seeing her hair?
Yeah, and I remember seeing her eyes blink.
He had heard, somebody said, hey, they've uncovered the film of the 3rd Armored Division fighting in Cologne, and I think that's your tank. And he plugged it into his VHS player, and the war came back to him.
Author and historian Adam Makos is writing a book, Spearhead, out in February, which chronicles Clarence Smoyer's battles through Europe.
Clarence had seen a lot of death and destruction, but it was this moment in Cologne that stayed with him.
I think there was something about Cologne. It's the narrow streets. I mean, it was close urban warfare. They're worried about German guns dug into the basement. You have German soldiers and snipers moving through tunnels, through the walls of the houses. And then on top of that, you have to worry about a German tank coming around the corner.
Inside the German tank, which also fired toward Esser's car, was bow gunner Gustav Schaefer, whom Smoyer met years after the war and befriended. The former fighters from both sides were united by the fear they'd been the one who'd killed Katharina Esser. While working on the book, author Adam Makos also developed a friendship with Smoyer and tried to help the man he sees as a war hero come to terms with the past.
And so the more he watches the film, the more he replays it in his mind, the deeper it sinks. And now it's a part of him. You don't think of World War II veterans as holding on to something like this, but they suffer just like the guys in the modern wars.
I'm the grandson of the sister of
Makos set up a dinner in Cologne so Smoyer could meet some of Katharina Esser's extended family, including her niece Lenny, who's 83. They shared stories and toasted to her memory.
How should I say this? History becomes real. To my grandmother.
Mark Hieronymus has a PhD in history and is a relative of Esser.
It was a nice, friendly meeting, but this is a man who's responsible for taking the life of your great aunt.
Yes and no. Is there really responsible in a war like the Second World War, and there's never been a war like this before, never nor again? Is there responsibility for the death of one person? I don't think so.
More than 70 years later, on what he acknowledged was likely his last trip, he went up to the top of Cologne's cathedral.
Oh, wow.
To look out over a now peaceful city that's been rebuilt. Down in the nave of the cathedral, he took another moment to reflect.
For Katharina, I asked her to forgive me if it was my shots that harmed her.
You probably have to forgive yourself.
Yeah. I just don't go away.
He still has nightmares and admits there are still tears. This veteran is proud of his service, but says the battle never truly goes away.